What if deliberately putting your body under small amounts of stress could actually help you live a longer and healthier life? Our bodies are not fragile. They are an extraordinary system capable of adaptation when used correctly. Instead of always offering them ease, giving them small challenges within safe limits can help them age stronger, more resilient, and healthier in the long run. Think for a moment about people who lived 100 years ago. Their lives were much harder than ours. They had to be constantly on the move. Food wasn't always readily available. They struggled with the cold in winter and endured the heat in summer. Their bodies faced small challenges almost every day. Today, the situation is completely different. We travel by car, we use elevators, our homes are warm in winter and cool in summer. We have access to food at any time of day. Our lives are more comfortable than ever before. At first glance, we might think this is perfect. However, scientists have begun to ask an interesting question in recent years. Was our body designed for this much comfort, or does it need small challenges from time to stay healthy? This might sound a little strange, because we've been told for years to stay away from stress. And this advice is actually true. Prolonged, intense psychological stress can damage our hearts, brains, and immune systems. But the stress we'll talk about today is completely different. What we'll be discussing in this video is what's known in the scientific world as hormesis, the body's ability to become stronger by adapting to short-term, controlled challenges within safe limits. In fact, you've experienced this many times throughout your life. Think about your muscles. When you lift a weight, the muscle fibers are stressed on a small scale. You feel a little pain the first day. But after a few days, the same muscle becomes stronger. Bones work the same way. They maintain their density when you put the right amount of load on them. Bones that are never used begin to weaken over time. The immune system learns similarly. Unused systems tend to atrophy over time. The human body is surprisingly intelligent. If you make everything easy for it, it can get the message, "I don't need this anymore." But when you offer small challenges within safe limits, it gets the message, "I must be ready." That's why some researchers believe one of the secrets to a long life is not to completely let the body relax, but to regularly give it small but controlled stress. So how can this be done? Do you need to exercise for hours? Do you need to jump into an icy lake? Do you need to go hungry for days? Absolutely not. In fact, many of the most effective methods are quite simple, and most of them can be safely adapted to your daily life. In this video, we will explore together why intermittent fasting has gained so much attention in recent years, how short-term cold exposure can affect the body, why exercise is actually controlled stress, why warm environments can be beneficial for some people, and why mental challenges that can keep your brain young are so important. However, let's state a very important point at the outset. The purpose of this video is not to encourage you to engage in extreme practices, especially for people over 60 with diabetes, heart disease, high blood pressure, or chronic health problems. Some methods may not be suitable. As always, it is safest to consult with your healthcare professional before making significant changes to your lifestyle. Now, let's first explore the answer to this question together. Why does the human body often become stronger when subjected to a little stress? The answer to this question may be one of the most important keys to understanding aging. Hormesis, the body's hidden superpower. The human body has an incredible feature. It's not just designed for survival, it's also designed for adaptation. Perhaps this is the most important feature that has allowed you to live until today. Think about it. The time you learned to walk as a child, you fell many times in your first attempts. Your muscles weren't strong enough. Your balance wasn't developed. Your brain couldn't fully coordinate your movements. But each attempt taught your body something new. You became a little stronger. You became a little more balanced. You learned a little faster. That's exactly what hormesis is the scientific name for. When the body encounters a small and safe challenge, it reorganizes itself to protect itself. It doesn't just revert to its old state. Most of the time, it becomes more resilient. You can compare this to the growth of a tree. If the wind never blows, The tree's trunk doesn't develop very strongly, but a tree that regularly encounters light breezes sends its roots deeper. It makes its trunk stronger. Thus, the chances of surviving a great storm increase. The human body is surprisingly similar to this. Of course, the important word here is light. A very strong storm can break a tree. Too much stress can also harm the human body. Hormesis is not about exhausting yourself. It's about pushing yourself enough to improve yourself. That's where the whole secret lies. Today, many people try to be comfortable in order to be healthy. I don't want to get tired. I don't want to get cold. I don't want to get hungry. It sounds logical, but our bodies can interpret this differently. We don't need this anymore. Muscles gradually begin to shrink. Bones lose density. The heart works less. Lung capacity decreases. Metabolism slows down. The balance system atrophies. The brain forms fewer new connections. In fact, a significant part of aging is not just due to the passing years. It stems from systems that are no longer used. Doctors often summarize this with the phrase, use it or lose it. Some researchers believe that one of the keys to longevity is not removing all stress from life, but learning how to apply the right type of stress at the right time. So how does this work in real life? Let's start with one of the most discussed examples: intermittent fasting. For most of human history, food was not available all the time. People did not eat constantly throughout the day. But today, the situation is very different. We wake up and eat. We snack. We have lunch. We snack again. We have dinner. And sometimes we even eat late at night. The body is almost constantly digesting food. But when you stop eating for a certain period of time, something interesting may happen. The body shifts its priorities. Instead of constantly processing incoming food, it starts to use stored energy more efficiently. At the same time, the body may activate internal repair processes. One of these processes is called autophagy. This word literally means self-eating. But the process is not destructive. It is actually a recycling and cleaning system. The body breaks down damaged or unnecessary cellular components and reuses them. You can think of it as a maintenance system inside the body, a kind of internal cleaning process. However, it is very important to be clear. Science is still studying this area. We cannot say that intermittent fasting is a guaranteed method for longer life. It is not a miracle. It is simply one possible lifestyle tool that may help some people, and it is not suitable for everyone, especially people with diabetes, people using medication, or those with kidney disease or serious health conditions should always consult a doctor first. The goal is not starvation. The goal is giving the body short breaks from constant digestion. Cold exposure. What's your first reaction when you accidentally turn on cold water instead of hot water when you take a shower in the morning? You probably recoil immediately. This is completely normal. The human brain is programmed to keep us comfortable and safe. However, sometimes, a very brief and controlled disturbance can cause the body to react unexpectedly. Another example of hormesis is exposure to cold. Even simple actions like taking a short, cool shower or briefly stepping into cold air can be considered examples. When the body is exposed to cold, blood vessels begin to constrict. This is a natural protective mechanism designed to reduce heat loss and preserve body temperature. Then, when the body warms up again, blood circulation increases. Some researchers believe that this repeated adaptation may help improve the body's ability to respond to environmental changes. Another interesting topic is brown fat tissue. Unlike regular fat, brown fat is involved in heat production. Cold exposure may activate this system, although research is still ongoing. Some people also report feeling more alert and energized after brief cold exposure. However, it is important to emphasize that not everyone experiences the same effects, and this is very important. More stress does not mean more benefit. Hormesis depends on dose. Too little may have no effect. Too much may cause harm. What we're talking about here is cooling the water for 15 to 30 seconds at the end of the shower, or, if the weather permits, a few minutes for a walk in the cool air. Especially for older adults, Extreme cold exposure can carry risks. People with cardiovascular disease, high blood pressure, or other serious conditions should be especially careful, because sudden cold exposure can increase the workload of the heart. The goal is never to shock the body. The goal is to gently challenge it within safe limits. Exercise, the body's most powerful and safest stress relief means. Another powerful example of hormesis is physical exercise. In fact, among all forms of controlled stress, exercise is the most well supported by scientific evidence. When you exercise, your body experiences temporary stress. Your heart rate increases, your breathing becomes faster, your muscles are challenged, energy demand increases. At that moment, the body is not in a relaxed state. But this is exactly why it is beneficial, because after the exercise ends, the body begins to ask a question. If this happens again, how can I prepare better next time? And this is where adaptation begins. Muscle fibers begin to repair themselves. The heart becomes more efficient at pumping blood. The lungs become more effective at using oxygen. Balance systems improve. The nervous system becomes more coordinated with the muscles. So the real change does not happen during exercise itself. It happens afterward, during recovery. This is why experts often say, you don't get stronger during exercise. You get stronger after it. This is especially important after the age of 60, because as we age, we naturally begin to lose muscle mass. This process is slow, so many people do not notice it at first. At first, a shopping bag feels slightly heavier, then climbing stairs becomes a bit more tiring. Getting up from a low chair becomes more difficult. Balance is not as stable as it used to be. And then one day, a small trip over a rug or step can lead to a fall. This is why doctors do not see falls as simple accidents. They are often the result of long-term muscle loss and reduced balance. But there is very good news. Muscles can still grow and strengthen even in older age. Studies on people in their 70s, 80s, and even 90s show that appropriate exercise programs can improve strength and daily function. This is very encouraging, because it means it is never truly too late. So what kind of exercise is most effective? Many people assume it means intense workouts or long hours in a gym. But in reality, it is often the opposite. The best exercise is the one you can maintain consistently, a 30-minute daily walk. Light resistance exercises a few times a week, controlled sit-to-stand movements from a chair, climbing stairs when possible, even carrying groceries with awareness and control. These activities all send the same message to the body. We still need these muscles, and the body responds accordingly. It preserves muscle mass. It supports bone strength. It improves balance. It helps maintain independence for as long as possible. And there is another important point here. The goal of exercise is not to exhaust yourself. If you feel completely drained for days afterward, the intensity is probably too high. Hormesis teaches us something important. The right amount of stress builds strength. Too much stress causes damage. Some people make the mistake of doing nothing for years, and then suddenly starting very intense training. This often leads to pain, injury, and loss of motivation, and eventually, they stop exercising altogether. But the secret to longevity is not extreme action. It is consistency, small steps repeated over time. The power of sauna and heat stress. Heat is also a form of controlled stress. In many cultures around the world where people tend to live longer, exposure to heat is a natural part of life. Saunas and hot baths are common traditions. When the body is exposed to heat, blood vessels begin to widen. The heart works slightly harder to circulate blood. Sweating begins, as the body tries to regulate its temperature. Some studies have observed possible associations between regular sauna use and certain health outcomes. However, it is important to understand that most of these findings are observational. This means we cannot say for certain that sauna use directly causes these effects. There may be many other factors involved. People who use saunas regularly may also exercise more, eat differently, or have stronger social connections. So the full picture is more complex. Still, Many people report feeling relaxed after heat exposure. Muscles loosen, stress levels decrease, the body feels calmer, and this kind of relaxation is itself valuable. Because health is not only physical strength, it is also mental balance. However, once again, moderation is key. Spending too much time in high heat environments can be dangerous, especially for older adults. Dehydration and blood pressure changes are important risks. Therefore, if sauna or heat exposure is used, it should always be done carefully and with proper hydration. Mental hormesis. Hormesis is not only physical, it also applies to the brain. The brain functions in a similar way to the body. It adapts when it is challenged. Learning a new skill, solving unfamiliar problems, reading new and complex information, learning a new language, playing a musical instrument. All of these activities challenge the brain. Even social interaction is a form of mental exercise, because during conversation, the brain must process language, memory, emotion, and interpretation all at the same time. Without new stimulation, some cognitive abilities may gradually weaken over time. But the important and encouraging truth is this: the brain remains capable of change throughout life. Even in older age, neuroplasticity does not completely disappear. Learning does not end at retirement. In fact, for many people, it can begin again. This is why continued curiosity is so important, because a curious mind is an active mind. Final conclusion. The human body is not fragile. It is adaptable. It is designed to respond to change, not avoid it completely. But adaptation requires signals. If life becomes too comfortable and too predictable, the body may gradually reduce functions it no longer uses. That is why small, controlled challenges are important. A walk, a short period without constant eating, a brief exposure to cold, light physical activity, learning something new, meeting new people. None of these alone will dramatically extend life, but together, they may help support healthier aging, because the goal is not only to live longer, the goal is to live better, to remain independent, to stay strong, to stay mentally sharp, and to stay connected to life. Hormesis teaches us not to suffer, how to adapt wisely. Remember all the examples we talked about today. Sometimes waiting a little longer between meals, sometimes encountering cool water for a few seconds at the end of a shower, walking a little every day, gently challenging the muscles, using a sauna or hot bath safely if you have the opportunity, taking up a new hobby, having new experiences that will surprise your brain. None of these are miracles in themselves. None of them guarantee that you will live to be 100 years old, because there is no single secret to a long life. And perhaps the most important message is, it is never too late to start. Small actions taken today can shape a completely different future. And now a question for you. What is one small challenge you could introduce into your life starting today? See you in the next video.